Hello and welcome back to Tinker Talks Guns. Today we're going to be talking about the Bernardelli Model 60, this example being in .22 long rifle. Now, the Bernardelli family goes way back in firearms production to the 17th century, but V. Bernardelli was established in 1865 and began producing a variety of arms for the Italian military. During the wars, they produced things like artillery fuses and stuff like that. And afterwards, they branched out into both military and civilian firearms with a lot of sporting firearms to their name, and were most famous possibly for their Olympic target pistols in rimfire calibers. But they also made this, the Model 60. They made it through the 50s and 60s in .32 ACP, .380 ACP, and .22 long rifle. And in .380 ACP and .32 ACP, it was widely regarded as being a very reliable and quite nice pistol. Now, it ran afoul of the Gun Control Act of 1968 because it wasn't an overtly sporting firearm, and was succeeded by the Model 80, which simply had a target grip and an adjustable rear sight, and it continued to be brought in for a few years after that. I'm not sure how long. But again, they had a good reputation in the centerfire calibers as a concealed carry pistol. Now, in 97, Bernardelli went under, and their assets went to Sarselmez in Turkey, I believe. But I haven't really paid any attention, so I don't know if there's still guns being produced under the Bernardelli name. Now, as a .22 rimfire, as you would imagine, recoil is minuscule, and the trigger is excellent. It's the only place it really falls down is in the sights, which we'll get a closer look at in the tabletop. But I tried it with a variety of ammunition, so let's see how the shooting went. That was a hard primer strike, and that did not go off. CCI, what are you doing to me? So, turns out it's a very nice gun to shoot. The trigger is especially a pleasant surprise. It did best with the Arms Corps Precision, the cheap stuff, and with CCI mini mags of a couple different varieties, both hollow point and regular, but it was not flawlessly reliable with any of them. It has a 10-round magazine, but it really doesn't like cycling with 10 rounds in the magazine, so it works best. But it worked best if you only load 9 rounds in the magazine, because apparently drag from the full magazine seems to have interfered, because the most frequent malfunction was with the first round with 10 rounds loaded. But overall, once I've colored the front sight so I can see it, I think it's going to be very accurate. And Reliability was overall good. The Colt branded ammo made by Federal was particularly underpowered and did not function well at all. The Winchester functioned like Winchester, which is badly. And Federal Punch actually worked pretty well, which is a nice surprise, but I'm not going to be going and plinking with Federal Punch. It's a little spendy for that. But overall, I like the gun very much, and it's certainly, while I wouldn't characterize it as reliable, it's certainly reliable enough as a range toy and plinker. So let's go to the tabletop and have a look at the details. 60 is very much a Walther Model PP / Browder Model 70 size gun and competed directly against them. Now, one thing is that the slide comes way far down, and so I could not use my typical grip. I tried putting it on the trigger guard. It just didn't work. I wound up having to curl my thumb over my hand, so that wasn't all that comfortable. However, the trigger, it turns out, is a delight. So here is the nominally 10-round, but probably better stick to 9-round magazine, and it is in the way of normal 22 magazines. It has extensions to pull the follower down, makes it very easy to load. The slide, as you can see, comes full width down. Now the trigger, according to the handy-dandy Lyman trigger gauge, breaks at 2 pounds and has a nice, crisp, short reset. So I think really good accuracy is going to be a thing once I get the sights sorted out. As you can see, the finish is very, very nice. And these are the pre-GCA 68 non-target grips. Just standard black plastic, nothing fancy. The safety is very positive. It works really nicely. And it's a little hard to access for people with smaller hands than mine. Now, pretty easy for me. Other people with smaller hands will have issues. And there's some nice detailing, like serrations on the top to theoretically reduce glare. The knurling on the hammer is nice. Hammer cocks easily. And it's just, overall, it's just a really nice old gun. And it's in fantastic condition for a gun of its vintage. Now it has a heel magazine release, which on a gun that is not a self-defense gun isn't really a detriment to my way of thinking. And there's nowhere to put it because of the location of the safety. Back here, there is this button, which you press in, pull the slide back slightly, and you can lift it right off. So field stripping is very easy. Now, the gun does like to be heavily lubricated. I had significantly fewer issues after I gave it a squirt of oil. You know, it's a 60-year-old gun that had last been cleaned and lubed God knows when. But maintenance is super easy. There's a fixed ejector, and pretty simple, and pretty much exactly what you'd expect. To reassemble, just push the button back in, put the slide on, and you're good to go if you take the safety off. Now, there's nice checkering on the black plastic at the back. There's nothing at the front, but honestly, it's a 22. How hard is it going to be to hang on to? It does have a nice, comfortable grip in my hand, and my wife liked the grip too. She thought that was fine. So it does accommodate a variety of hands. And overall, it's just a very nice, basic, simple, but really functional gun. Of course, function being in the eye of the beholder, since the 22 long rifle is not entirely reliable. Now, it's kind of funny because I was standing at the counter at Pinto's Guns with my wife discussing gardening with Diane, and Chris kept trotting out guns that they were checking in to tempt me with. And this one tempted me. And I might have been inclined to pick it up. Except he then produced a gun that was an absolute must, and I try not to spend all of my money on guns. Not that I have that much to begin with. So I had passed on this gun, but then I saw it later in the case at a price that it was half of what I expected it to go for, and I Just could not pass it up. And I'm glad I did, because it's a nice range toy and plinker. And I think Linda and a lot of other people are going to enjoy shooting it very much, as probably will I. So, the Bernardelli Model 60 in 22. Nice gun. And I think that's it for this time. So, I hope this finds you well. Stay safe, take care, and I'll talk to you again real soon.